In fact, I was amazed when in 2005, Dick Cheney wrote an energy bill. I don't know if he actually sat down and wrote it, but we all referred to it that way because it was he and his cronies who basically produced this energy bill. And it had even more billions of dollars in subsidies for the oil companies. And I was looking at that and I said, what is wrong with this picture? Why on earth do we need to send billions more to the oil companies? Now, my opponent has just started running an ad in Pennsylvania which says he's never taken any money from the oil companies. Well, there's a reason for that. It's illegal to take money from the oil companies. You can't take money from the oil companies. But what he doesn't tell you is that when he had a chance to stand up to the oil companies and vote against Dick Cheney, to join me in voting against Dick Cheney, he voted for Dick Cheney's energy bill, which gave billions of dollars to the oil companies. You know, one of the things I learned all those happy times in Scranton with my father and his family and a lot of his friends and neighbors is actions speak louder than words, don't they? So I know we can't make the changes in our energy policy until the two oil men leave the White House, but as soon as they do, we're going to get started and we're going to show the world we can do this. And you know what else we're going to do? We are going to make health care affordable for every single American, once and for all. And how are we going to do that? Well, if you have health insurance and you're happy with it, then you're going to keep what you have. There's not going to be any changes at all, no disruption. But if you don't have health insurance or what you have doesn't pay for what you need, that's a very common problem. You know, you may be a diabetic, but they won't pay, for the strips you need or the eye exam you need or the feet examination that you need, right? You know, you may have had cancer 5 or 6 years ago and you've got health insurance, but it won't pay if your cancer recurs. So what good is it? You know, I'm tired of health insurance companies deciding who lives and dies and who gets the health care that you and your family need to have. So we're going to tell the health insurance companies they can no longer discriminate. You know, it's illegal in our country to discriminate on the basis of race or gender or religion or ethnic origin, and thank goodness it is. But the health insurance companies can discriminate against sick people. I think that's wrong. So we're going to give them a choice. Either they can do business the way America needs them to do business, or they can't do business with the federal government and the new health insurance plan I'm proposing. So I propose to open up the congressional plan. Congress has a great plan for itself and its employees, and there are more than 250 options, and you're going to be able to choose among them. And we're going to give you health care tax credits. We're going to limit the amount of money that you have to pay as a percentage of your income to a low percentage for your health insurance. Think about this. The average family policy in America is now $12,000. And many people pay a lot more. And so $12,000 is a huge payment. If we limit what you have to pay to a small percentage of your income, then people can afford it on a sliding scale. And you won't be going bankrupt to pay your medical bills. Or you won't be splitting your pills because you can't afford your whole prescription. Or you won't be postponing preventive care. Or you won't look in the mirror and see something suspicious and say, well, I got to wait because I don't have the money. I am convinced this is not only important for our country to do, this is the morally right step for us to take. It is wrong in the United States to deny people health insurance. And we're going to make sure education remains the passport to opportunities so that students at this great college and every other one throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania will be able to afford to go to college. Too many young people are not able to do that anymore. I hear it across Pennsylvania. Families that can't afford it. I heard it yesterday in Harrisburg. A couple of families were talking about how they couldn't afford to send their kids to college, or maybe they've got one in and they didn't know where the money for the second one would come. So here's what I think we need to do. We need to double the HOPE tax credit so that you have more of your own money to put toward sending your kid to college. We need to have more direct aid like Pell Grants that will be tied to the increase in the cost of education. So as that goes up, the Pell Grant value goes up. I want to provide national service so that if you're willing to do up to 2 years of national service, you'll get up to $10,000 a year that you can put toward going to college, which will help a lot of students. But let me ask you, how many of you currently have college debt? And I'm just curious, is anybody paying more than 20% interest? How much? 27% interest. How much? 26? 26? 23? 32%? 32%? That's a new high. 26%. How much? 29%. I got to tell you, think about 33%. Honestly, 33. You are the highest in the entire country that I have heard of. What a terrible situation. Interest rates have been historically low. Even before they've been dropped by the Federal Reserve, they've been historically low. I do not want to see these student loan companies be able to continue this predatory lending. They are driving families into deep financial distress. They are making students like indentured servants, where you're trying to figure out how you're ever going to pay your debt. I'll tell you, when I went to college, our government invested in young people like me. And here's what we did. You know, my dad was a small businessman. He saved enough money to pay for me to go to college with room, board, and tuition, but I had to work to earn everything else. If I wanted to buy a book, if I wanted to buy a Coke, if I wanted to buy a new pair of shoes, I had to earn it myself. That was our deal. Then when I was going to law school, I told my dad, and he said, that's not part of the deal. So I kept working, and I got a little scholarship, but I borrowed money directly from the federal government at about 2% interest. Right? Because the government of the United States invested in young people. I'm going to invest in young people again. We're going to have a direct lending program, and we're not going to put you in debt like this. And here's another offer. If you are in debt, 27, 29, 33% interest, here's my offer. If you're willing to do public service like law enforcement or the military or nursing or teaching, we will forgive your debt over time. So you see, I think that making sure that we have a president who gets up every day and says, what am I going to do to create jobs, to get everybody health care, to make sure college is affordable, is critical if we're going to maintain the American middle class. Otherwise, people's standard of living is going to further deteriorate. Young people will not live as well as their parents. That is absolutely contrary to the American dream. We work hard so our kids can live better. And now it's being reversed so that we don't see the same opportunities for our young people. That is a disgrace. I will do everything I can to give you the future you deserve. And I will work to restore America's leadership and moral authority in the world, starting with ending the war in Iraq and bringing our troops home.